Hey you guys, welcome back to another peach pruning video with us. Today we're going to do a 5-year peach tree. And the tree we're doing today is the same tree we did last year when it was 4 years old. But this year it's 5 years old, so we're going to do it again. And one of the things we love to do that I always feel like is missing and was hard to understand when I was first learning how to prune was to go through and actually do it together. And I know it takes time. As we have trained people on our farm over the years to help with the pruning, usually we end up doing 2 or 3 trees together and then they start getting the hang of it. And it takes a few days to go through and do that. And it's, in a way, it's needed in order to do it. It's not something that's easy to understand out of a textbook. In a way, it's a little bit of an art form or an apprenticeship. We'll start by talking about the tools we're going to use. We're going to use some of these tools I have laid out here. And if you want to learn more about what we use to prune the peach trees, we do have another video about that on our page, and we'll link you to it as well. But these tools, I'll just talk about them real quick. We have a pretty simple layout. We have just a file, a small fine file, just to keep our pruning shears sharp, and our big one too. It has a blade on it too that we keep sharp. So we have just a crescent wrench here to keep the nut on our pruner where it belongs. Sometimes after thousands of cuts, it starts wandering a little bit and loosening up the pruner. So we just want to make sure that stays in position, and it usually does. But we have that there in case we need it. And then we have a little handsaw here, and this makes quick work of the bigger branches if we need to do some structural changes to the tree. And then, of course, we have these big cutters right here. And these ones are more for if there's an awkward position, if the saw can't do it very good. And maybe also they're for speed too. So if you don't happen to have your saw on you, or maybe you're like, hey, that branch, I'm just going to come cut it real quick. You know, these two can almost be interchangeable in that way. One more tool that's kind of handy for us, and it's our big green dumpster right here. We're just going to cut those limbs off and chop them up a little bit and stick them in our dumpster and let them go get recycled over. So for those of you who have never seen one of our pruning videos before, I'll just talk a little bit about our strategy here before we start pruning. We kind of have these 4 scaffolding branches that we've developed over the years, and so they're still here, and we're going to work with those. And as we prune, we're going to kind of take one quadrant of the tree at a time and just go up and finish each quadrant off so that it's a very organized effort and we can understand where we're at on the tree and how the other pieces of the tree relate to that piece of the tree. So it's kind of important we do that. We'll start with this quadrant right here, and I'll try to talk about the decisions I'm making while I'm doing them. I may not get them all, but I'll do the best I can. There's a lot of, now that we're at a 5-year tree, there's a lot to cut here. Usually what I like to do is I usually like to start either down here and do the easy choices, or start at the top and work my way back this way. I don't like to start in the middle because as I work one way, either up or down, it helps me to know what to keep as I layer and feather the tree correctly. I'm going to start up here, I think, today. So up here, we have a limb coming out this way and a strong limb coming out this way. And so a little bit, these two are almost doubling up on each other. They're almost directly right under each other. Doesn't mean that we have to cut this one off this year if we don't want to. We can work with that for a little longer until this one kind of takes over and builds up and shades this other one out. Because this one's so strong, it's going to produce some peaches for us this year. So I probably will keep this one, and I will keep this one. And so with that being said, let's get some horns developed up here, going in different directions. So I'm going to cut it right here, and I'm going to cut the one going backwards. And then I have 3. I have one going out east, one west, and one north. And that's going to give me a nice little bowl up in there that I'm developing. I'm going to head them off. So now that we did that, the next branches, we want them to be down here and have the proper spacing. So these little duker ones up here that aren't doing too much, these little spindly ones, I'm just going to get rid of those. Okay, so now that helps us clear to there. Now we kind of have another junction here of branches. So we got to make some decisions on those. So the easy decision is maybe to take the one off the back first. And we have some of these on the belly. I don't like to leave the ones that are hanging on the belly because they always get weight on them and tear off usually. So we'll get rid of that one on the belly. And then this one's a little bit spindly. This one's a little bit stronger. This one down here is quite strong. I think I'm going to keep that one and I'm going to head it off. I'll head off its other little piece there. And I am looking for the branches that are a little bit stronger. Sometimes you will keep a weaker one because maybe you're trying to grow out the structure in a certain direction and you're like, hey, I need that branch to do whatever it can out there. But if we are really looking for peach production, we are looking to keep the ones that are a little bit stronger because the tree has already decided it thinks it's stronger. So it's going to send the correct amount of energy to it so that your peach actually gets to a nice size instead of having golf balls on something that's wimpy like this. So that's going to help us understand that a little bit. And then we're going to cut that one off the back. And we have a real strong one coming off the back here. So you could keep that one for production if you wanted because it's strong. It probably will go away later. Or you could work with this one that's coming out on a 45 degree over here. And this one will eventually probably fill out this direction. So I think for me, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work with this one that's coming out this way and try to strengthen it. So we're just looking at this one right here. We saved that one and that one. I think I'm going to take that one off. And I'm going to take this little wimpy one off. And I'm going to clean up a few of these little wimpy ones real quick. One off the back here. I think I'll save this bigger one here. I'll hit it back at about 12 inches. That'll give us some peach too. Okay, clean off these ones on the front. A little bit there. I think I'll save that little duker there for a peach. And we'll clean off some of these ones we don't need. Okay, we're moving along. We've got a bigger branch coming out this direction. So we'll just go down this little side road for a minute and check it out. And he probably will get, I can just see already that eventually he'll probably become useless to us. And the tree is already heavily going with this and kind of not too excited about this one. But we'll keep it for this year for sure because it still has some good stuff on it. So we'll trim off some of these ones we don't need. And we'll keep that one right here. Get rid of the one right on the belly. Get rid of that one. I don't want them hanging too low. And we'll decide here. We got a few coming out this way and coming out this way. And I think we'll get rid of that one. And we'll keep this one. Now this one was kind of coming out there a long ways, so I kind of chopped it back to almost 10 or 8 inches on that one, just so it has some ability to hold the peaches up. And we'll just chop that one off. We'll keep that one right there. And got some good spacing between there, so those things can all produce. We have good spacing here. And again, that's one thing that we're always looking for is some spacing between the different limbs we decide to keep so that the leaves have room to not rub each other and the peaches have room to not get scarred up. And there's good sunlight and good airflow for disease and keep the peaches nice and dry, not getting too humid. So that's one thing we're always thinking about as we're pruning. This one here is gonna get weight on it and come down on there, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. And this one coming off the stomach. That one's okay there, I guess. I might get a peach or two off that little guy. I'm gonna come down here and just clean this up. I know I'm not gonna want some of these way down here. And we got this one down here. I think I'm just gonna take these ones off down in here. Clean it up and down in the middle a little bit. And then this one can stay just for some peach production this year. See that one there? It'll give us some peaches. And so we got one more piece of this arm. This one that kind of is on the second level of that. So again, we'll kind of prune out some of the stuff we don't need, the little tiny stuff. Maybe we'll head that one off right there and trim that. Trim the one off the stomach there. And one here. Let's cut that one out of the middle up top. And we're going to head that one off and that one. Cut that one off in the middle. And this one kind of has this hook hanging below. I don't think we need that. And you could keep all these. I think I'm going to thin this one off the belly right here. I'm going to keep these two that are going out this way and those that went out that way. So I kind of get a feathering effect a little bit. This one is still too long. I'm going to have to head it back, maybe about right there. And usually you could think, well, 12 inches, 16 inches, 18 inches to head something back. And another good rule maybe for the balance of the tree is the 2/3 rule. Sometimes about 2/3 is where we always end up cutting it back, depending on how long the branch actually is. So we've completed this half of this scaffolding on this Y right here, and it's coming over here. So now we have this other one we'll do, and we'll do it again. Repetition, practice makes perfect, they say. So we'll just do it again, go through it. We'll start with the top here, and I got stuff coming over here a little bit, and I have this one and this one kind of in the back. So this one's the only one that's kind of getting interfered just a little bit. So I'm going to cut that right there, head that one off. I'm going to cut that one out right there. I'm going to keep that one. Cut this one that's already broken. And I could keep this one right here. It'll grow and shade out this bowl, so I don't really need that one. And just cut that one off the back. And that little wimpy ones go away. And we'll just come right down the branch, start working. All right, so we got this big nice one going up here. And we got one kind of going up here. So I don't think we need this one that's shooting kind of funny at a funny angle out front here. Let's pick this one that's doing some nice stuff. We'll trim it right there. We'll keep this horn that's coming up here. Cut that off and trim that. And there we go. So now we've kind of done the bowls that are developing up in here. And we're going to come down the branch now. So there's a lot of little nicky ticky tacky stuff. We're going to take it off and get rid of the easy ones first, like I always say, because if you get rid of the easy ones, it helps you know what it is you're keeping. It makes it a little easier for you to figure stuff out. So anything that's too cumbersome and getting too crowded in there, that's easy to say, let's go, get rid of it. Okay. So let's see here. We got these two here kind of, and then we did these two up here. What is in between these two major sections? Is there much in here that needs to be kept? Maybe we could keep this one, because this is about 18 inches between this junction and this junction. And usually we like to have about 8 inches to a foot between the different sections we keep. So we can decide that this could be kept right here if we wanted to. So maybe we'll do that. And maybe we'll keep that one too, just for a peach or two. And we'll head these ones off right here and just get rid of those little extras. We don't need them. It just causes more work for when we thin later. Okay, and then we got this one coming over here. Now, this one over here, you can see that the growth on it is not very large on this branch. And part of the reason it's not so large is it's kind of getting shaded out by all this other stuff in front of it. There's about, if you look at the sun, there's about 3 layers of the south side, the middle branch that went up, and this other north branch that are starting to shade this. So it's not getting very good sunlight. We'll try to keep it for this year to give us some more peaches, but I have a feeling that one is going to go away at some point in the next few years, because the tree isn't going to work with it anymore because it's getting too wimpy. So we'll just keep it like that. We did a feathering on it. Okay, let's come over here to this one. Now this one is kind of in between these two we're working with, but we have a little bit of space in here, so we can keep maybe some of it, and maybe we'll try to do that just for production and get rid of all the other nonsense we don't need. And so that one's good too. Now, probably again in the coming years, this one that is kind of in the middle of these two, because there's other stuff going to grow. Probably that will go away later, but for now we're keeping it. Okay, we just got two way down here. Let's see if any of that can be useful to us. It doesn't have very many flowers on that. It went crazy on the growth to try to produce some more branch there, I guess. But anyway, we're going to take this one off right there. And if we want to, you see on this part of it, there's some nice buds along there. If we want to, we can head this crazy growth part off right here and leave this 18-inch branch. It's nice and strong. It'll give us some low down peaches right there. With that last piece we just did, that completes our north scaffolding branch of this 5-year-old peach tree. So we're going to move on to the other pieces. I think I'll do one more with you guys. I'll run through it and we'll practice on it, and then maybe I'll do the other half of the tree in fast forward speed so that you don't have to wait a whole hour to do the tree with me, but at least you can see the finished product as well too. We're going to work on the west facing scaffolding now, and we have some different stuff. Now we kind of already talked about this one that's coming up kind of jutting off the bowl, so we're going to work with that one probably first right here. So we don't need all these little shoots that are going crazy here. We might keep a few of them that produce peach, but we got to select which ones we want because we can't have everything. So I'm trying to at least space them out for now and see what I want to keep. I don't think I want that one. I could keep that little one if I wanted for something. And this one is kind of going towards the center. I think I'm going to have to get rid of that one. Down here, I'm going to get rid of these ones down close to the center. I can keep this one if I want for some more peach right there. And then we're going to come up to this next thing. Let's try to keep some of that for production. Now I know it's growing into this area where there's a blank spot. So we'll see if we work on a bowl in here. It may not last forever because this other area is really strong, so it might overtake it eventually, but maybe we'll just see if we leave something there for now. If I can get in there. That one's kind of tucked in there. Okay, and we'll head that one off. And you can see we almost have a little triad in here of fingers where it looks like that. And it's a little bowl that the sun can hit and ripen up that group of peaches right there. And then we just get rid of some of that funny stuff. And we'll keep this one just for some peach. I know it's headed towards the center, but that's okay. It's not going to fill out the whole center in one year. It'll give us some peach. Okay, so that little section's done. And we have one very strong one headed towards the center. We're going to cut it back and keep just a piece of that for peach production. Just because a branch is headed towards the center of the tree, it's not the end of the world. Yes, we're not going to let them set up a huge structure in the center of the tree, but it's okay to produce a peach for a year if it's headed that way. Okay, let's go up here to this big conglomerate, and we'll trim it up there and kind of make our little area. Let's see how much stuff I have to do there. I don't know. Okay, and then we got that one there, and that one's coming off. This one's kind of wimpy. I'm going to get rid of that. And these are two. Don't need all that extra. We'll chop this one right about here and head that off. Since I'm up high here right now, let's talk about the height of the tree, because you'll notice I'm stretching my arms as far as I can. I'm about 5'10", and if I reach up here, I don't know, maybe it's another 2 feet. So these cuts are like 6.5, 7 feet tall. And usually we don't like the tree to get too much taller than 8 feet for sure. We would like to keep it within arm's length when you're reaching up there. At least on a commercial If you got a lot of trees, that makes sense because you gotta have some efficiency. That's another thing that people can decide is how high they want to let their tree get. If you're in your yard and you say, well, I have more space up in the air than I do branching out wide, then that's okay. Maybe you start getting a ladder involved and you can go up higher and develop your tree a little bit higher if you're okay with that. But for me on the farm, I like to try to keep everything as much as I can at arm's length so that all the different jobs we have to do on the different trees, we come through and prune them at arm's length, we come through and thin them at arm's length, we come through and harvest them at arm's length. So it really helps with production ability when you can keep everything at a reasonable height. Okay, we got this one going out this way that's headed over that other branch. I'm going to cut this whole thing off right there because it was shading out this other piece. Okay, this one is not too bad. I think we can get some production out of that. So I'm going to cut it right there. Head a few of those off. And maybe we'll keep that one too. And that one we can trim right there. Actually, I don't need that one. Okay. And then that one. Okay, so that leaves a nice area of branch there. So we're kind of done with this bowl that we formed that is in this area. Completed this one, coming up this way. So now we're going to come over up a bit further, and I think we'll stop in at this branch and work down this way. So I'm going to cut these two off the front, and over here we have some headed out the side. So we might keep something cut it short for peach production. And then over here we could do that too for some peach. And we got one shooting straight up right here. I think I'm going to take that off. And I'm going to come up here to the top of the branch. It helps me to start this way and work my way back down now. And we got to decide what we're going to keep. There's nothing so strong here, but we still got to decide. So maybe instead of coming out so much further this way, we'll actually cut back to where we headed it last year. I don't want it to come out so far. And if you do want your tree to get wider and wider, that's okay. You can decide kind of how far you want everything to come out. So I'm actually going to cut right here too. And I'm going to head that one and head that one and cut that one and cut that one. And these little things down here have to go away. And this one here actually I'm going to keep because I have a nice curvature on that for strength. It's a good looking branch. Okay, so let me just finish this off over here. I think I'm going to actually leave that one. And then this one got left. So we kind of completed this side of it. So I'm going to come wrap around and do this side. And we're going to keep this one. And we're going to cut that right there. Head it off. Take the one on the belly out. Trim this one for peach production. I could also take that one, but I think I'll cut that one. And I'm going to cut that one, that one, that one. And then that one gets headed off. We'll keep it. And I think we'll keep this thing too, this one coming out of here. But we can't take all of it, so we'll pick the ones we're going to keep and just head them off. And we'll take that one off too. They don't need those ones. Okay, that's good enough there. And then we missed up here, so we'll just come up here real quick and finish that. So I think we'll just take it right there and trim it, and trim that little dead piece off. And that branch there is completed. So now we're going to travel up the tree again, and we're at a Y. So we can either go this way and finish that one or go this way. Well, I'm standing over here, so I guess I'll do this one over here. So I'm going to cut that one out that's in the joint funny. And those are ones you can cut out. One's coming off the back right there. Now this one has a lot of little spiny things going on it, but we're going to clean it up, and we're going to start at the top, and we're going to select some of these and keep them, and prune off the crazy head, and keep the production of the peaches on that nice rod right there. And then we'll cut that one off too. And now you can already see, as we selected some of those big strong ones up there, here and here and here, we have a bowl developing already. A little miniature satellite dish, as I like to call it. Keep cleaning it up a little bit here till we get down to some more strong branches and the next layer. And this one here is not too bad. You could keep that one, and maybe I will. So I kept that one, and I cut off some of these little guys here. And then there's one coming out this way. I'm going to keep him and head him. And there's one coming out this way. I'm going to keep him for some peach this year. Now I'll just do this other one. So I'll do the same thing up here. I'll select that one that I'm going to keep. And then I'm going to look here to see what I want. And I got kind of a funny thing right here. It's got this one in the middle that's pretty strong, and then these other two. And this is something that we don't really like very much. It creates a big splitting problem and problems. So I think I'm just going to cut that right out of there. But instead of cutting it right there, I'm looking at this branch down here, and I don't want this one anyway. So I'm actually going to decide to cut it right there. Now that thing is gone, and it leaves me with my bigger branch here, which we can more easily finish off. So if you can avoid those funny junctions and try to get rid of them, it does help your tree have a lot more strength later on. So there's that. And we'll see here. All right, so we got a little bit there. We'll keep that thing. Okay. And then we got that there. And that. And we'll take a few of these away. See how this one looks kind of strong right here? And this one does too. And these are about 4 to 5, maybe 5 inches apart, 6 inches apart on those. So if we really want to get heavy on peach production, we can keep both of them if we want to. Or we can just keep this one, and maybe our peaches will get bigger on this branch. So that's the thing to think about too, is if you decide you're going to keep more branches, you probably could expect a little bit smaller peaches. And it doesn't mean that's bad, because you might want more peaches at a tennis ball size. But if you want your peaches more to be like a baseball size, a little bit bigger, then you probably prune your tree and thin your tree in a way that it can focus on less stuff. I guess that's like life, huh? When you can focus on less stuff, then you do better usually. All right, so we'll trim out some of these ones that are in between. And that one we kept. We could keep that one too if we wanted. So there you go for that one. That one has been trimmed up. So now all we have left on this west scaffolding is this area over here. So we got this big strong thing there. I'm going to head it off and leave about 16 inches, or about 2/3 of the branch. And then I'm going to cut off this really weird thing in here and try to simplify the tree's life a little bit. I guess that's how pruning is. You're trying to cut out the things that are excess in your life. And I guess it's the same for the tree. You're trying to lighten its load and cut out the excess. Okay, so we got that little flange done. These little things can come off in here. And then we have kind of a big decision here. We have kind of an interesting area. We have two coming out here, kind of broadly. And then we have something poking up in the middle here. That's kind of a funny joint. And I would think that you could make a temporary decision and keep this one for peach production. If I cut it right here, I could do that for another year. But in the long haul decision, these are going to develop into big bowls up in here, and they'll close it all in anyway with more branch. So for me, I'll keep that one for one more year for the production while these two continue to fill out. cut those off. Okay, so we got that side done. Okay, one more thing here, and then we're done with the west scaffolding. So we'll just come up the scaffolding, start working it. Okay, let's look at the main plume up in here. Let's cut out that one in the middle. I think we're going to keep this one. And I think we're going to get rid of that wimpy one and that wimpy one. I think we'll keep this one, cut it down, and we'll keep maybe right here we'll keep and head that one off. Trim those up just a little bit. And then we got two more tall ones in here. Let's see what we'll do. We can keep it for peach if we want. Trim it right there. We can keep that one too. This one is hanging down a little funny. So there you go. That one is done. Now looking at the two branches we just pruned, and the west and the north, you'll notice that in comparison to maybe some of our earlier videos like the 4 and 3 year, we have left quite a bit of branches for production, extra branches like these little things all over the place that poke off. And that's going to give you a nice peach crop. But you don't have to do that. Again, if you want your peaches a little bit bigger, maybe you'll thin even your branches out, almost like thinning the peaches out. You thin your branches out, you'll get a more robust peach off it. And then also the other thing is that we're not focusing as much on structure anymore because the tree has kind of come into shape and come into form. And we're still working with structure a little bit, but it's pretty well on its way to being fully set up now. And so we're starting to think about production. And plus, we've been waiting for 5 years to get some peaches, so it's about time we get some. So we're getting excited about saving some flowering wood here to get some peach production. All right, so we've got completed the south and the west quadrant. We're going to go for the east quadrant over here, and we're going to try not to reap the east wind while we're doing it. So now this one's kind of funny, so I wanted to show you this one before I go off and just finish the tree by myself while you watch. Is that we kind of have this funny junction with all this stuff going on. I want to show you how to deal with that. So we already have established these ones, and the tree is saying, well, I think I want a big thing established in here. Now we know that there's a cross section going on, and this is going to be real bad because it's putting so much juice into this one. This one's going to explode next year. It's going to start pushing these ones apart, even potentially cracking them out. So I'm going to take that one out of there first. Abs for sure. That's a for sure go because of the crowding issue. It's almost like your wisdom teeth in your mouth. How come this one down here is pretty obvious? It's got to go away. It was wrapping around the trunk. And then we got some of these little Tweedledees in here. Just take those out real quick. And some of these you can leave, again, for peach production if you want. Like this one right here, I might just head off and leave that stem for some peach. So looking at the same area. Now, this one is not so bad. We could choose to keep this if we had a reason. And the only reason I could think is, well, maybe it's becoming too open on one side. It's getting too much sunlight and we're getting sunburn. But like I said before, I think that's not going to be an issue because the south side of the tree is getting very developed now, and I believe these areas will be shaded just fine. So I don't think we need this big Christmas tree here in the middle. So we're going to take it out right there. And I'm lucky I got strong hands, so maybe we'll just take those off easily. But some of you might have to pull out your saw for stuff like that, or the bigger clippers. So now this section we're going to move on from, but before we do, you'll notice that the tree put a lot of energy into those, and the tree wanted those. At least it thought it did. But I guess we decided that we didn't want those because we figured we have a different solution for the tree's problem of the shape. So that's just another example of the tree wants something, but you want something different. Okay, we're going to move on to these other scaffoldings, and we're just going to go ahead and do them in a little bit faster here. We'll just get it done for you so it looks nice, and then we can look at the finished product at the end. Just say on this one, it was kind of a big, strong branch going up about the same direction as this one, but it was all here in a cluster of 5 of the branches. So I says, look, I'm gonna move this one down here and go with this one so that the tree doesn't have to divert energy in a big octopus shape. It doesn't do well when it does that. So we selected that one in there. And that completes our eastern scaffolding. Now we're gonna move to the south, which if you look down in here, this is our biggest scaffolding on the tree. Seems to like to put the most energy that way. And the south facing branch usually gets the most sunlight, so it kind of makes sense too. But now it has kind of a Y shape here, so this one is almost headed out east as well, and then this one is headed more southern. So we'll get started on that. This part of the tree, I just made a cut and topped this off right here. And if you'll notice the lay of the ground, it's a little bit on a hill. So over there, I'm about a foot taller, and over here, I'm a foot shorter because the ground goes down. So I had to pull the tree towards me a little bit to get these. I am going to try to keep this, the height of this side in range of my pruning. So that also is a factor. So because of that, it could be that this side of the tree ends up looking just slightly lower than that side of the tree, even though it's all 7 feet all the way around, but it's because of the unlevelness of the ground. Now I'm going to take this one right off of here because I'm trying not to come over the fence too much. It makes it too hard to work on the tree. So I'm going to cut this one off and call it good right there so that the tree kind of stays within the fence line right there. With that being done, it completes our south scaffolding of the tree, and we have our tree complete. That's always good to go back and look over your tree just a little bit and see if there's anything else you see. When you start out on the tree, you maybe are a little bit more conservative. As you get going on the tree, you get a little bit more practiced and better at it, and by the time you finish the tree, you may say, oh, let me go back to where I started. I see some things that are wrong with it. So that's okay. You can go back and examine it and see what you want to keep and what you want to get rid of. And so that tree should be pretty productive for this year. It should put on quite a few peaches for us. So, you guys, with that being said, thank you for watching our 5-year peach tree pruning. And if you want to look at how many sticks came off that tree, come look over here in the trash can. We can push it down, but you know, it's a lot of sticks that you chopped off there. All right, we will see you on the next video.